name is Randy, and I'm going to read my article, Literary Narrative for Writing 101. Growing up as a child, it was evident that reading was not my favorite pastime. I remember coming home from kindergarten and seeing my mom's face buried into a book that seemed to be about 4 inches thick. She would read for hours. I used to say to myself, how could she read a book all day long and not get bored? I would ponder on that thought for a moment and then proceed to make my way outdoors to go play. When I came back home after a fun afternoon of wiffle ball, my father would always be sitting on the couch reading the newspaper, steadily briefing my mom on the latest events in the area. Reading was something I did not like to do. However, when looking back, I could say that my mother and father were some of the earliest examples of reading in my life. When I was about 8 years old, I took an interest in Marvel Comics. I was introduced to an array of comic books by a good friend that lived down the street. My favorite comic book was Spider-Man. My friend and I would spend hours reading and imagining what the next comic book would reveal. However, after entering the 8th grade, my obsession for comic books was eliminated after experiencing an eye-opening movie in my social studies class. The movie was called The Roots, which was based on a book written by Alex Haley. This book was about an African-American man who traced his ancestry back to the slavery time. There was a particular scene in the movie that fueled my fire to take reading more seriously. This was when an African-American girl was sitting in the big house reading to one of the slave owner's daughters. The daughter in the movie was shocked that the African-American girl knew how to read. The reason this little girl was shocked was because it was against the law for African-Americans to read. It was at that moment I realized that not reading is a direct link to ignorance, and by expanding my reading efforts, this would expand my intelligence to infinite possibilities. I began reading every book I could get my hands on. Everything from fiction to nonfiction books, you name it, I read it. Today as an adult, I still do a tremendous amount of reading. However, I read more self-help books that increase my understanding in my everyday life. The books that I am most interested in today are books that teach about finance and investing. I also find inspirational books about achievement and success to be very interesting. I also try to read to my daughter as often as possible, which has now resulted in her fondness for reading. I am very grateful for the examples my parents and teachers gave me in regards to the importance of reading. It has allowed me to not only excel in college, but it also helps me excel in my chosen career. Thank you very much.